Early in our marriage, even in dating, I forgot about my friends. I pushed them aside. I didn't do anything with them. I didn't reach out to them. I didn't go on trips or adventures or anything like that with them because I thought I was doing what I should be doing. It was several years into our marriage. We went through our separation and I realized, oh shit, I'm alone. I'm all alone. My friends are still there. They're still doing things, but I forsaked them. I didn't build those male friendships. So if you're not already building friendships with other men, then you need to do that right now. Men, I've got a very important message for you today. Whether you found yourself staring down the barrel of a divorce, or maybe you haven't and you're happily married, maybe you're even a newlywed, or you're considering asking for her hand in marriage. I want to share some things with you because something happened to me 3 years ago that I never would have imagined happening. And that is that I went through a divorce, and I was very public about some of the things that led up to the divorce, and for better or worse, some of the fallout and the ramifications of that. And over the past 3 years, I've learned a lot of valuable insight, not only as I navigate and walk through uncharted territory, but as I talk with thousands and thousands of men on a weekly and monthly basis who are dealing with divorce, who have overcome divorce, who are being threatened with divorce. And really what I want to do is give you some do's and don'ts, 5 do's, 5 don'ts when it comes to divorce. And then I'm going to give you one other very powerful resource at the end of this podcast, so stick around. I'm going to share just briefly, because I've been very vocal and public about this, but I'm going to share briefly a little bit about my experience. On July 31st, 2022, my ex-wife and I were having a conversation in the bedroom of our house in Maine. And honestly, I cannot remember why we started to have the conversation. And the reason I can't remember is because I was already drinking by that time. And it was a Sunday morning, and I was drinking. And she had said something to me. I can't remember what she said, but what I do remember is thinking, wait a second. And I told her this, are you saying you want a divorce? And she said yes. And at that point, I had to really confront my alcohol addiction. I had to confront some issues that I was dealing with, some demons, I would say. I think that's a little dramatic, but I had to confront a lot of what I had been dealing with up to that point. And immediately I started attending AA meetings. I hired a therapist through BetterHelp.com, and I went to work on improving myself because I thought, if this is going to happen, I'm going to do everything I can to salvage the marriage, to reclaim the marriage, to be together. I still believe in the sanctity of marriage. I still believe in the importance of marriage, but unfortunately, it did not work out for me. Some of that had to do with my own behavior, and some of that had to do with hers. And I want to be very clear about the fact that it takes 2 to tango, and I'll own everything I can, but there's 2 parties in a relationship like this, and it is what it is. So I spent 6 months trying to salvage my marriage. This podcast is going to be a lot different because I don't really enjoy talking about this sort of thing, but it is important. And as I said earlier, a little too late, and I was not able to salvage the marriage. And I moved from Maine back to Utah with her and with my children. And I remember the day that we were unpacking the U-Haul that her brother, my brother-in-law, now ex-brother-in-law, had brought to the house in Utah, the house that we had moved from. And her parents were there, and everybody was amicable. And I remember unloading that U-Haul and putting everything out into the shop in the backyard. And it was devastating. I put on a happy face and I was a brave warrior, if you will. But inside, I was falling apart. And I was devastated because of my own actions, but I was also devastated because this thing that I had thought was going to stand the test of time did not. And I spent months and months wondering what I could have done differently. I spent months floundering around, trying to find myself, a lot of lonely nights, a lot of dark and cold and isolated moments in my life. And fortunately, I was never suicidal, but it was the darkest time in my life. And fast forward over 3 years now, just about 3 years since my divorce. And I can tell you that I'm in a much better place. I did some things right, and I also did some things wrong. And if you find yourself staring down a divorce, I want to share a couple of things with you, and then, like I said, give you a resource. So let's break this down. I'm going to share the do nots first, and then I'm going to share the do's with you. So number one, do not. Guys, do not sedate yourself. There's a lot of different ways to sedate yourself. You can sedate yourself with alcohol, which was my drug of choice, or drugs, or pornography, or getting wrapped up in work, or a bunch of mindless, trivial nonsense, social media scrolling. That might feel good in the moment because it gives you some sort of temporary relief from what you're dealing with. But over the long haul, it doesn't serve you. It doesn't serve you to ignore what's really happening. It doesn't serve you to drive down the way you're feeling and your emotions and the frustration and the anger and maybe even the hostility. You need to confront those things. So I said this in a post that I had made on the socials the other day. You're going to need your wits about you. And I stole that from Randall Wallace, who is actually a previous podcast guest, and he is the writer of Braveheart. And Mel Gibson's character, William Wallace, says that he needs his wits about him, and he refuses the drugs that the woman that loves him offers for mercy. You need to refuse that. You need to sit in it. You need to wallow in it. You need to become intimate and familiar with what you're dealing with so you can begin to come up with better solutions. Number two, guys, do not sedate yourself. That's the most important thing. I can't say that enough. But outside of that, do not stalk, because that's a form of sedation as well. You're trying to figure out what she's doing. You're stalking her social media accounts. Maybe you're driving by her house or your old house. You're trying to figure out what her schedule is. You're showing up where you know she will be based on her schedule. Don't do that. Right? Let the dead bury the dead. And I'm not saying that literally. Okay, I hope you know that. I'm going to talk a little bit about that here in a second. But what she does is no longer your concern. And I know that's hard in the moment where you have a woman that you love that you cannot have. And psychology tells us that we crave more deeply what we cannot have. And you can't have her right now, or potentially ever. And you need to man up. You need to sack up. And you need to acknowledge that she is no longer with you. She wants nothing to do with you. She doesn't want to be with you. She doesn't want to be your partner. And I know this sounds harsh. There was a moment that I had with my ex-wife. It was after we had moved back to Utah. And she said something to me, and I'm not going to get hyper specific in this, but she said something to me, and that was the moment I realized this is over. And it was devastating. It was heartbreaking. And it was cathartic. And it was liberating. It was all of the things at once. And what I realized is that in that moment, I was free. I was free to pursue a new life. I was free to make myself better. I was free to improve. I was free to do what I wanted to do outside of me wanting to get her back at the time. And the sooner that you can just cut it off completely, like ripping the Band-Aid off a wound, do it. Don't drag it on. Don't text her. Don't drunk text her, heaven forbid. Don't stop by her house. Don't stalk her. Just don't. It's done. cut it off completely. Or if you have children and other affairs you need to deal with, to the minimum degree that you possibly can. Do not stalk and just rip the Band-Aid off. Number 3, don't sleep around. All right. I know that you're probably looking to be validated by a woman because that's what she potentially brought into the relationship that you had, but don't do that, because if you continue to sleep around or you attempt to sleep around, it's going to feel good for about 7 to 8 minutes. For some of you shorter, for some of you longer. It's going to feel really good for about that amount of time. But after that, you're going to feel like a piece of trash, because you are. What you're doing is you're using women to fill a void, to feel a need, a desire that you have at the expense of her. And you're actually damaging her, whoever that woman is. Even if she's voluntarily engaged in the process, you're hurting her, and you're also hurting yourself, because you're cheapening what it means to be sexually intimate with another woman. I get it. We're men. We're physical in nature. We derive a lot of our sense of worth and validation from being physically intimate with the people, the women that we love. I understand. Don't do it. Go rub one out if you have to. Do whatever. Take a cold shower. Think about your grandma. Whatever you have to do to avoid sleeping with other women, using other women as masturbatory tools, and also sedation in the cheapest, most degrading way for her and for you possible. Don't sleep around. It's very easy to do that. There's a lot of risk with that when it comes to disease, with unwanted pregnancy, and I've heard horror stories of that, and just the degeneracy of engaging in that behavior with someone you're not committed to. It hurts her, it hurts you, and don't do it. Number 4, don't kill yourself, all right? I hope this goes without saying. I have never in my life been suicidal. I can't say that I haven't had thoughts of what that would be or what that would look like, but I have never been suicidal. But to the degree that I can, I've had friends who have committed suicide. I've had family members who have committed suicide. I've never been there personally, but I do try to understand where people are coming from, how dark and desperate and deep it must be. That's a temporary problem that you're dealing with. And it is temporary, guys. I'm 3 years post-divorce, almost 3 years post-divorce. And I'll tell you, I'm in such a great place in my life right now. But if I would have ended my life 2, 3, 3.5 years ago, I would have never been in this position where I'm growing with my children. I'm in a new, beautiful relationship with a woman that I love and care about. I never would have been in that position if I decided to end my life. My kids need me. You guys listening to this podcast need me. My mission is important. What I'm trying to accomplish is important. God put me on this earth to do something. And I'm not putting my divorce on God, but it is part of the plan. He knows this was going to happen. And what can I do moving forward? Don't end your life. I'm going to share some do's with you here shortly. You don't need to end it. Please do not end it. Let's see. I'm on number 5. Do not seek vengeance. All right. I know you're mad at her. I know you're frustrated with her. I know there's contention and animosity and vitriol. I know that because I have that. Now, I don't speak ill of my ex publicly because I've made the decision not to do that. And she does not speak publicly ill about me, even though I'm sure she's got things in her mind that she could speak ill of me about. I'm not out to get her. I'm not out to hurt her physically, mentally, emotionally. She's the mother of my children. I want my children, my 4 kids, to have a good relationship with her. I think she's a good mother. I don't think she was a great wife in those later years and months, but she's still a good person. And she's taking care of our children. And our children need her in their lives. And fortunately, my divorce hasn't been real hostile. I know a lot of other guys that are going through hostile divorces, and I get that. I've seen it time and time again. But you don't need to seek vengeance. Let the dead bury the dead. If she's going to act the way that she's going to act, you can just let her do that, knowing that at some point she's going to get hers. And it's not your place to administer justice. Your place is to raise your kids. Your place is to take the higher ground. Your place is to continue to build yourself and be a better man than you were before. That's what you are to do. And what she is to do is her business, not yours. Leave her alone. Do not seek vengeance. Do not be petty. Do not try to get back at her. Do not blast her publicly. Leave her alone. Let the dead bury the dead. Last one, guys. Do not, and this is a form of sedation, watching pornography. A lot of you guys will engage in porn because we're sexually driven as men. It is what it is. And so we'll engage in pornography. Or, as I said, point number 3, we'll sleep around. Guys, that's not going to help you. It's fake. It paints an unrealistic expectation of what sex and intimacy in the bedroom looks like. It falsifies love. It tricks you into believing that you could have something that isn't natural or isn't good or isn't healthy. And so we want to maintain a healthy level of respect for women, even though we might in the moment feel like maybe they don't deserve our respect, because you're taking an isolated situation, your divorce or your separation, and applying it broadly. Don't do that. Don't watch porn. Don't engage in sexual degeneracy, and you're going to be better off when you do. Okay, so now let's move into the do's. I talked about the do nots. There were 6 of them there. Sedate, stalk, sleep around, kill yourself, seek vengeance, and watch porn. Let's talk about the do's. Number 1, build male friendships. When I was early in my relationship, I actually, my marriage, it was an 18-year marriage. We dated for several years and then we got married. So we were together for about 2 decades. And early in our marriage, even in dating, I forgot about my friends. I pushed them aside. I didn't do anything with them. I didn't reach out to them. I didn't go on trips or adventures or anything like that with them because I thought I was doing what I should be doing, which is fully engaged with her. And I loved those early years. And I really enjoyed pouring fully into her and the relationship. And that's what I thought I should be doing. But I forgot about my friends. And in the moments of our separation, about a year in, no, it wasn't a year. It was several years into our marriage. We went through our separation and I realized, oh shit, I'm alone. I'm all alone. My friends are still there. They're still doing things, but I forsaked them. I didn't spend time with them. I didn't reach out. I didn't connect. And then when I went through my divorce, I realized I'm alone again because I didn't build those male friendships. So if you're not already building friendships with other men, then you need to do that right now. If you have friendships, reach out, rekindle, reconnect, go on trips, go hunting. We're in fall right now. We're in hunting season. Go hunting, go on a hike, go on a walk, have a phone call. The more I talk with other men, the more edified and uplifted I am. But that takes work on your part. So build those male friendships. Number 2, develop new skills. And when I say skills, specifically what I'm referring to is marketable skills. Go get a promotion. Go get a designation. Go get a new degree. Like whatever you can do to build extra wealth in your life. And trust me, you're going to need it because when you're going through your divorce, you're going to be financially challenged to varying degrees. Some of you minimally, some of you think you're going to be buried financially. And you might. Robin Williams, when he was alive, he told a joke and he said that something along the lines of he used to call the process all the money, meaning she gets all the money, but they called it alimony. But he basically said that it's emotional torment and ruin through financial devastation. Guys, you're going to need to get your wits about you. You're going to need to build wealth. You're going to need to pay off debt. You're going to probably assume some debt that isn't entirely yours. You're going to give up a lot of the wealth that you spent years, if not decades, earning. It's going to happen. So you need to develop new skills that are marketable. Who do you need to connect with? What conferences do you need to go to? What designations do you need to secure? But build new skills that are going to help you make more money. And some of you might say, well, I'm just going to give more to her. You know what? Yeah, probably, depending on your decree. But so what? Because when that ends, when your kids are out of the house and that alimony ends, whether it's in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, whatever, then you're going to be in a much better place. You don't want to cut off your nose to spite your face, as they say. Number 3, learn a new hobby. Guys, your life is meant to be enjoyable, but most men don't have joy. They're not hunting. They're not playing. They're not laughing. They're not joking. They're not doing all the things that we used to do as young men, kids, where we'd have fun. I remember sledding down a hill in a very small town in southern Utah called Parowan, and I've got a scar to show for the things that we did. And we used to get in trouble, and we used to laugh and joke and chase girls around and, learn new things. Like, these are the things that we used to do as kids, but somewhere along the way, we were told you need to be more mature, and you do because you have more responsibility. But what about fun? What about joy? What about laughter? What about excitement? What about risk? Do you have that in your life? Because if you don't, you're failing. You really are. I bought a little 1981 Honda moped the other day. It's a little moped. It goes like 20 miles an hour tops. And somebody had said, "Oh, that's stupid. You shouldn't have bought that." You know what? It makes me smile. I put my kids on there with me. My youngest son, he's 9 years old. He loves to get on there with me. And every night we'll go ride the moped around. He puts his helmet on, sits right there in front of me. He wants to do it by himself. He's not quite there yet, but he will be. It's fun. I don't care if it's stupid. I don't care if it's silly. I don't care if it's laughable. I don't care if other people are looking at me and saying, "Oh, that's ridiculous." You know what? I want more of that in my life. I want more joy. I want more laughter. I want more play. These are the things I want to do. As a 44-year-old man, I don't want to take myself so seriously. And I don't think you should as well. What do you want to learn? What do you wish you would have done that you never did? Earlier in the year, or maybe even the end of last year, I went skydiving for the first time. I'll never do it again, but I did it. And jumping out of that plane, sitting on that platform above the tire, thousands and thousands of feet in the air, and the guy said, "You ready to go?" And I said, "Yeah, I want to do front flips." And he's like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, I want to do front flips when I go." And so we did 3 front flips as I jumped off that plane. I'll never do it again, but I did it. I want to take trips. I want to see new things. I want to talk to weird and interesting people. I want to laugh. I want to play. I want to eat good food. Are you doing that? Because if you're not, you have a permission slip. You're going through a divorce. You have a permission slip to do whatever the hell you want. And as long as it's legal, moral, and ethical, what I say is go for it. Go on that trip you wanted to go on. Do that dumb thing that she always ridiculed you about. Like, take the guys out and go on a motorcycle ride across the country for 10 days. The thing that she always said you couldn't do or you shouldn't do or laughed at you for doing, do that and go live your life. Number 4, train your body. Okay, your body is a tool. It's a weapon. It's an incredible piece of biological machinery. And there's too many of us who are fat. We're overweight, we're out of shape, we're lazy, we're pathetic, we're weak, we're soft. What would it be like if you were 15% body fat? What would it be like if you added an extra 20, 30, 40, 50, 80 pounds to your bench press or deadlift? What would it be like to be this chiseled specimen of a human being? What would it be like if you didn't go eat all the junk food and instead you decided to eat the best foods for you? How much energy would you have to go do those weird things you've always wanted to do, or jump on the trampoline with your kids, or have a pillow fight, or kick somebody's ass in jiu-jitsu? If you were in shape, if you trained your body and you fueled it correctly, do that. We all know we need to do it, so do it. And then the last one here, point number 5, guys, give back. Give back. Likely, if you're in a divorce right now, you're wallowing in your own self-pity. You're feeling bad about who you are and what you've done and all the mistakes you've made and why she's leaving you and how pathetic you are. And some of that might be valid, but you know what? the more that you can give back. And that's what I'm doing here in this podcast. And that's why this podcast has been so valuable for me. When I was in the throes of my divorce, I had people reach out and say, you know what, Ryan, you need to shut this down and you need to go by yourself and just figure yourself out for several months or a year or whatever. No, screw that. You know why? Because I believe in what we're doing. The only people who would ever say, I'll just go like get lost and don't do this are the people who don't believe in what they're doing, but they're not going to project that on me. I believe in what I'm doing. I believe that what we are doing here is valuable for other people. I believe that we have information to share. I believe that we can make other men's lives better. And when I pour into other men authentically, genuinely, honestly, I'm better because of it. It's a win-win. I don't get to wallow in my own self-pity. I don't get to cry about how hard my life is because I hear every day from other men who have it infinitely harder than me. Give back. Go donate to a charity. Go run a youth sports team for one of your children. Go to the food bank and hand out food, or if you're in a financial position, make donations. Like, give back. Tell other people what you know. Share your insights. Share whatever you can to make their life better so they don't have to go through the same bullcrap that you have in your life. When you give back, we start to forget our own problems and move into solution-oriented opportunities. I know it's heavy right now, guys. I really do. I know from experience. I'm not coming to you and talking with you about these things from a place of ignorance. I know exactly what it's like for the woman that you love to say she doesn't love you and she doesn't want anything to do with you and she doesn't want to be married to you anymore. And all these dreams that you had about a lifelong marriage and raising your kids and unison together are now crumbling. Part of that, your own fault, and part of that not. But you can be better. You can improve. You can make yourself into a more capable man. And that's what I want for you. So I'm going to share one other resource. We just came out with a program called Divorce, Not Death. Divorce, Not Death, because it feels like death. Mental, emotional, spiritual, maybe even physical. It feels like you're going to die. You're not. You're going to get through it. And I want to help you get through it better. So if you go to divorcenotdeath.com, I just did a preview call last night. If you go to divorcenotdeath.com, you'll have access to that preview call as a replay, and you'll see what we're doing. This is something I could probably charge thousands and thousands of dollars for because you're hurting right now, and so you'll pay whatever you can pay in order to do it. I'm not doing that. I'm making this very accessible for you guys. You know, there's costs associated with running a business and putting these resources together, and I need to make sure those costs are covered, but I'm not going to extort you. I'm not going to charge you thousands and thousands of dollars and prey on what you're dealing with right now. I want you to get the help you need because it's the help that I wish I would have had 3 years ago when I was going through my situation. So go to divorcenotdeath.com. Again, I know this podcast is probably a little different than what you're used to, but this is real. This is real. If you've never gone through a divorce, you might not understand it. But if you have, or maybe even when you were a young man and you watched your mom and dad go through a divorce, you know how painful it is. And I'm going to give you the tools that I can to help you overcome it. So go to divorcenotdeath.com, check it out. If you have questions, email me personally. I don't have an assistant. Maybe I should. People tell me I should. I don't have one. Just email me, ryan@orderofman.com, or send me a message on Instagram, which is where I'm most active, at Ryan Mickler, and we'll help you get what you need. But you can overcome this. I believe you can. I have, and you can too. All right, guys. We'll be back next week for an interview. Until then, go out there, take action, check out divorcenotdeath.com, and become the man you are meant to be.